Hey everybody, I've got Stacey back on by popular demand.
Oh.
And we had a bunch of comments of people that have been sick. There are some of people don't know exactly what's going on, and there's a lot of people that have noticed Chick-fil-A making them sick and everybody else. And I can only imagine the people that are going to watch this video as our food gets, more toxic from, bugs and everything else they're putting in it, not to mention all the different oils and things that wasn't meant for the human body. But it really touched Stacey because she went through something that I just can't imagine it. I can't imagine living through that. When I get sick, I'm a big old baby. And she had fever every day, and she wanted to share everything that happened, most of everything that happened, just kind of walk you through it because this is going to help a lot of people. So how do you want to start?
Well, a lot of people ask about the journey that we took in the comments, and it's kind of hard to explain in just a little comment blurb. So it kind of made me go down memory lane a little bit, and yeah, I guess it kind of made me a little emotional to start over.
Let's go.
Okay, so I guess my early 40s, they say it hits women in their early 40s. I don't know if that's accurate or not. You'll have to ask a doctor, but that's what the doctor told me. The one that was wanting to throw meds at me also. He said that it hits women in their early 40s for lupus, autoimmune, Sjogren's, all that kind of stuff, and that's pretty much when it hit me. I just thought I was tired, and I'm a runner. And I could not push through it. No matter what I did, I could not push through it. I would go to bed. I felt like I had the flu. I was running fever. Poor Chris got frustrated with me. He's like, get up. Let's get going. We've got stuff to do. We just moved to the property. We had businesses going. We had rent houses.
Yeah, I didn't understand. I didn't know.
I didn't either. I just kept thinking, I'm like, man, what is wrong with me? What is wrong with me? And then what really started to scare me was my hands and feet would start to go super cold. And I was starting to keep my heart rate. And it would go really, really low, and I would literally go to sleep. I'd be sitting there. I'd be like, Chris, I got to go. And I would head to the couch, and before I could get to the couch, I was out. And it would take about 45 minutes, and I would wake back up, and like it was a warm rush of blood would just come through my body, and I would pour sweat. It would also make me have super chest pressure, and I kept telling Chris, I have such chest pressure. I'm struggling to breathe. And I would tell him I'm lightheaded. I can't get oxygen to my head, and that's not me. I've been super active all my life. One of those people that's considered healthy, never even had doctor's appointments until you're my yearly exam every year. And one night I was laying in bed, and this is what scared me. I didn't want to go to sleep because I was scared I wasn't going to wake up. And that's the next day. Well, I went to a outpatient clinic, and I started going to see doctors because I knew something was wrong. And by that point, my hair was starting to fall out.
Gobs, clumps of it was coming out. It was
wild.
Bad.
I was starting to lose weight. I lost like 20 pounds.
Keep in mind, these doctors didn't know what was going on.
No.
They were no help.
No. Well, there were a few of them that were, and I kind of wanted to touch on that for just a little bit. So I met some really good ones, and then I met some really crappy ones. I had people tell me, I had one guy tell me I had smoker's lungs. I'd never smoked a day in my life.
They were just pulling stuff out of the head.
Yeah,
smoker's lungs.
Yeah.
Whatever. You got, how long have you been smoking? She's never smoked a cigarette in her life.
No, and then they kept saying I had heart issues, and I'm like, I don't have heart issues. I'm a runner. I'm like, well, maybe runners do. You don't always know, correct? And they kept sending me heart doctor after heart doctor. And finally I came across this ENT guy because I kept having major throat issues, and my throat would swell up to the point I couldn't even swallow food. I would literally be eating, even at restaurants, unfortunately, and I would have to run to the bathroom and spit out my food real quick. And so I went to an ENT, and he, oh my goodness, Dr. Christian Bozier, if he ever hears this, thank you. He said, Stacey, I don't know what's wrong. He said, but something is going on with your body. He said, start keeping a journal. So for a good solid 6 months, I guess I kept a journal. Everything I ate, when I ate it, my temperature, my blood pressure, my heart rate. You can even do your oxygen. He even does his blood sugar sometime. Mm-hmm. That's when we realized I had been running a low-grade fever for at least 8 months. And
if you have any of these symptoms going on, put it in the comments.
Yeah.
I want to know if this is helping because I have a feeling there's a lot of people out there that don't know why they feel bad.
True.
I think this video is going to age really well because I wish somebody would have done this, and I could have watched a video like this. And I know there's several different things about autoimmune out there, but her situation seemed to be really severe overnight almost.
It
was
took
like,
a couple years. And the crazy thing is, when I started getting really sick, he mentioned Chick-fil-A. I was eating Chick-fil-A at least once a week. That was one of the things I was doing when I would be out working or running around. I would run through the drive-thru real quick, and I was eating that at least once a week. And we're not doctors, and I don't know all the medical terminology and all that. I just know what I went through.
Oh, I could go through
and
tell
the
you
questions I
about
asked.
leaky gut and all that, but you can go listen to the doctors for that. Let's just try to stick with what you had to deal with and the foods that make you sick.
Yes. So what I did learn also was when I would go get blood work, I would never just take their word for it. I would never just say, okay, your blood work's fine. I was like, no, send me the blood work. And I started doing my own research. And I would notice a few that were elevated that were just on that high line. But I'm like, why? Why are those higher? Like, for example, my blood started getting too thick. And they were like, oh, no, you're fine. But it was right on that verge level that was making my heart feel too heavy. And it was because of the inflammation. And I guess at that point, let's see, they had me on an inhaler at that point because the inflation was in my esophagus. They had me on prednisone at that point. What else did they have me on? I couldn't keep anything in because the inflammation had gotten my intestines. So literally I was also fighting dehydration at that point. And
If you're living on prednisone,
it's horrible.
that's what happened to my grandmother. She had rheumatoid arthritis so bad, she would eat those every day. Every day she would eat those. And she had just bags. It makes you hold fat in strange places, and there's a multitude of side effects that come along with it. And it will put you on other medication that will eventually mess your kidneys up. And just know you're poisoning yourself. You're activating the fight or flight hormone that when a bear's chasing you, it activates that cortisol, and it gives you the energy to do whatever you need to do. You know, that's how you hear of grandmas flipping minivans off their grandkids and stuff like that. But the cortisol stimulates prednisone stimulates a cortisol response, and so you're getting that hit every time you take it, and it's really, really bad. So do whatever you can, whatever it takes, to get off of it.
Yeah, and the bad thing is it affects the inflammation for just a little bit, but it just masks it. It doesn't actually fix it. So then I was having to take another medicine because it was making other side effects happen. And I guess the final straw to me was I went to an autoimmune doctor at that point because they had finally figured out I had autoimmune. I had lupus and I have Sjogren's. And a side note right here, I want to stop with the Sjogren's. If anybody has that, watch what toothpaste you use. Watch what mouthwash you use. I did not realize I was using mouthwash that was actually hurting my mouth worse, and it was destroying my teeth. And thank God I figured that out, and my dentist said I'm doing much better. And your eye drops. Be careful what eye drops you use. This is the eye drops that I use, and if anybody knows anything else better, please let me know. I just know it's very important to use certain products. But I guess the final straw, I'll go back to that, was he set me down and he said, all right, Stace, we got to talk about transplant meds. He goes, because at that point they'd figured out I didn't have heart issues, but it was it attacked my eyes, my mouth, my lymph nodes. It had gone down to my heart connectivity tissue. That was why I kept feeling chest pressure. They finally figured that out. And he said, your next step is going to be your organs. And he said, at that point, we're going to have to put you on transplant meds. And granted, at this point, they were already throwing other meds at me. And I got in the car and just bawled.
So far, she's been told she's going to go blind, right? They told you it's going to bother your eyes.
Yep.
Your teeth are going to start falling out.
It's going to mess
your
your
hair's
mouth up.
already falling out. I mean, this is major, major stuff. It's not like, oh, I feel a little bad when I eat.
No, it was
this
scary.
Because we didn't know.
Yeah.
So I remember one time when you would get sick, everybody likes a Sprite when they're sick.
Yeah.
So, and lunch meat, some ham and cheese on a cracker, and she would nibble on that and sip on some poison.
Yeah.
And the packaged ham, I don't know what you'd call it. I don't know
just-
if it's the glue they use to stick
I
it
don't
together
know.
or whatever, but she cannot have it.
No.
And we didn't know that. We didn't know any of this. So she would fast, she would just not eat, and she would feel better. Okay, we got to eat something, so she started with vegetables.
Well, we were laying there, so just we were laying there one night, and it was so bad it had gotten to the point. We'd already spent $10,000 too, by the way. These doctors are not cheap.
And my insurance didn't cover it.
No,
either.
they don't cover a lot of this stuff. And so I was at my wit's end, and he was too. And he started going through my notebook, and all of a sudden he looks at me and he says, "Stacey, I think it's your food." And we'd sort of looked at the idea of autoimmune food, and that's when you went down the rabbit hole.
Yeah, that's when I got into nutrition. That's when I got in shape. That's when I did that's when I just went all in, and I got, because I had a gut sticking out to here too.
You had an ice cream belly.
Ice cream gut, and you know, and here's the thing: when people start talking about diet and you can't eat this and you can't eat that, you can eat a lot of that stuff. We actually just ate some granola on some yogurt and blueberries for dessert, and it had a little bit of canola oil in it. But she just ate maybe 9 or 10 grams of it.
Right.
So you can do just a little bit.
Well, if you get your body healthy. So I went to ground
Good
zero
point.
at first.
Good point.
Yeah, no, I did. I was desperate at that point. I was like, I don't care what I have to do. And Chris said, all right, I'm going to figure this out. And he said, Stacey, we're going to have to go to ground zero with the food. And I literally start with a baked chicken. And I think it was either carrots or broccoli. No seasoning except for salt and pepper. And it took weeks.
And that gets really boring.
Yes, it does.
But
I was determined.
But
I
you
was
can
desperate.
have the hamburger meat that we get, but you can't have the hamburger
Right.
meat from the store.
We discovered that too. So we were out camping, and that's all we had were hamburger patties, and I was starving to death. Ate it, got sick. I was like, oh, maybe that was a fluke. That was all we had to eat in the boat again the next day. And I ate a hamburger patty, immediately got sick. And so started doing some research, and the preservatives, whatever they put in there, I guess, to make it look pretty red. I don't know, or if it's the process. I don't know what they put in there.
And she eats
I
our
can't.
beef every day.
No, I eat
So,
our beef every day because
bacon. She can eat bacon. You can eat
I eat chicken, I eat
chicken.
steaks,
And
I
I know
eat
there's going to be several
potatoes.
comments. You should never eat bacon. Whatever. I like bacon. It doesn't.
I don't eat it all the time. Just
You do. You do every day.
I
don't lie.
I have lately because I've
Okay.
been doing a little keto. Yeah.
So
Anyway, so that's kind of where we started. So Chris learned a lot about food, and I think that's where his passion has come from.
yeah, well, it all clicked.
Yeah.
My grandmother was sick with it. Ever since I knew her, I just thought she was ill. She's just old, and you get sick when you get old. That's the end of it. It
Yeah.
doesn't have to be that way.
Yeah.
If you don't eat poison every day, you won't be that way.
Yeah, that's one of the doctors even told me. God, that's been like, what, 5, 6, 7 years ago now. I was between 40 and 41, and he goes, oh, you're just getting old. And I'm like, no, I'm not. I'm like, you don't live like this. I'm like, this is ridiculous. Another thing, so people have asked me questions besides the diet. Diet, I don't call it a diet. I call it choosing to live healthy and keep a notebook. And you will figure out what triggers you. Yours may be sun. Like I know there's a girl, remember Stephanie? When we go kayaking,
Yep.
she has to do something. She has to take a special supplement, do a special cream, because if not, the sun affects her. She has skin issues with the sun. Every person is going to be different. I'm not a doctor. This is just what I've learned
That's
through
so
trial
true,
and
though.
error. Yeah.
And everybody, and just so you know, everybody's diet, their preferences are different. I hear a lot
Right.
of go carnivore and just do that and you'll be
Right.
fine. Well, some people don't like to eat meat 24/7, or go be a vegan. I'll never be a vegan. But you can figure out your own way through it, and you'll create your own diet. And as far as fasting, she does a lot of intermittent
I do.
fasting, which is
do.
really
Yep.
good. There's a lot of autophagy and stuff like that. The bad cells get eaten by your body, and a guy won a Nobel Prize for it. It's really interesting. After 16 hours, that happens. And you fast for about 16 hours.
It depends. So here's what I do. So I fast based on what's going to happen with my schedule. I don't just wake up one day and say I'm going to fast. So, for example, today I had to go to town, and I knew there's nothing that I can get that's going to be healthy, and maybe a sushi roll, and I'd have to have time to stop. So I fasted until I got home, and I ate, about 3 o'clock this afternoon. But if I do that, more than likely, I'm not going to have coffee in the morning. If so, it's only going to be our coffee, and I put collagen in that coffee, and I only have maybe about a half of a cup just to be on the safe side, and then I go and I fast. Or if I go out of town, like I was out of town for a wedding this past weekend, woke up at a hotel. Obviously, there is nothing there to eat.
Yeah, and for anybody that didn't watch the previous video, we bought coffee in bulk, and
Yes.
The ground coffee goes bad pretty quick, so
Yes.
we have to get fresh beans. We don't roast them. I'd love to get into that, but I don't have time. They roast them pretty recent, and we grind them ourselves, and she can drink coffee.
Right. Now, I don't go crazy drinking coffee, but I'm able to drink coffee and not get sick.
There's a huge cortisol response with
Right.
caffeine.
So anyway, but I didn't eat anything until like that 3, 4 o'clock that afternoon again also. So it just depends. And if I get super sick, like if I can tell my body is simmering and I call it flu-like symptoms, immediately I would do like a 24-hour fast or something like that, and it will reset my body. It's fabulous. I highly recommend it.
Yeah, if you're sick right now, just fast. I'm serious.
Yep.
If you have any of these symptoms, fast for 24 hours. It won't kill you. Get over it. You can do it. I know people that just can't think they can't. Used to think you could.
It's hard at
You can
first.
do it.
It's hard.
do it, and you'll feel better, and it kind of cleans the slate.
Yeah.
It's kind of a clean plate. Okay, let's try my diet again, and then you'll hit something, and you'll know. Then you fast, and that's what we've had to do.
Yes.
Can you remember some of the foods right off the bat, like that was like almonds? The almonds that
Yes.
were roasted almonds or roasted in all kind of oils that made her really sick.
Or even peanuts and stuff like that. I was sitting there eating those
Yes.
peanuts. Oh, they were
They were hot
good.
peanuts.
They were spicy peanuts.
They were in the shell.
Yes. They had the oils, and we didn't realize it, and I was
Ketchup with
sick
high
as a-
fructose corn syrup
Yes,
in it.
I can now because I've got my body pretty healthy. If I'm at a restaurant and that's the only thing they have, just a little dab, but every day.
But you can notice it, though.
Just a little bit. You can feel it simmer. Like when it hits your body, I don't know if it's like this for you guys that have autoimmune, but when I eat something I'm not supposed to, it's like you've had too much coffee or something. My body starts kind of simmering inside, and then if I let it go too far, then I have a fever, my throat swells up. All the symptoms that you have with it. I mean, it's the way it goes. And I have a butterfly rash. It's lovely, pops up, and it's so embarrassing some days.
Yeah, butterfly rash. I don't know if you know that. It looks like it's like a crease. It looks kind of like a butterfly. And I see people walking around with them all the time, and I want to say, hey, you're eating something you shouldn't be. And I know people hate to talk about their diet. They really like to stick their head up in the sand about that.
The bad thing is, too, is if you let it get too bad, it will leave a scar. This side, thankfully, hasn't. This one has a little bit, but oh well. Also, another question I got asked in the comments a lot was, do I take vitamins? So I try to get most of my vitamins from food. We worked really hard at that. And there will be times, especially in the winter, that I will supplement like vitamin D's because I don't get enough probably vitamin D, and that's something I find out I'm kind of deficient in sometimes. Sometimes I'll take B, E. There's a few ones that I play with, but every day I don't. And Chris, I never can say this correctly.
Collagen. We take
collagen
every day.
Every day.
That is a no-brainer. Everybody I know that's tried it, except for one person. She said she didn't see any results, but she might be eating enough on it. We put collagen in our coffee every morning, and it keeps your skin hanging on. You lose, I can't remember, 2 or 3 or 5% a year of your collagen after the age 25 or something. You start to lose your collagen, so if you don't take it, your skin actually starts to fall off. It helps. My parents started taking it. I said, try it for 30 days. They'll never quit.
Yep. Every day in my coffee. He brings me coffee every morning. He's a good guy.
The coffee maker.
He is. And I'm like, do you put my collagen in? He goes, of course, every morning.
And she asks me every morning. It's weird.
I guess I think he's going to forget. What is this right here? I never can say this correctly.
Quercetin?
I've been starting to take that a little bit. So my dad, who I mentioned in the last video, I think he's autoimmune also. He's just never been tested.
100% for sure he's autoimmune.
Yeah, he's just never been tested. I'm pretty sure it's where I got it from. But his doctor recommended that he started taking it. I looked into it, and it's some really good benefits to it. So I've been taking that, not regularly every day, but ever so often. So I would say that and oregano oil. I take oregano oil if ever I get a little drainage or sinus.
Oh, that stuff is bad.
If you can take that stuff, you're tough.
You can lick a cat on the butt to get that taste out of your mouth. It is so bad.
Ask your brother-in-law Ross when we give it to you. But that stuff does really, really work. If you look it up, the side benefits, they're amazing. So I've learned to take it, stick it on your tongue, hold it for a second, and swallow it, and the stuff really does work. So I'm very thankful. Today kind of made me go down memory lane. It made me realize how scared I was back then, and man, how thankful I am. So guys, do whatever you got to do to get healthy. It's worth it to feel good every day.
Yeah, because you did. You beat it.
Yeah, thank God.
So if there's any questions, you can leave them in the comments, or any way we can help. I wish I could have run into this video. And I'm sure we're not saying everything,
Or correctly.
And as we run into more things, there's a ton of comments here. We printed out a bunch of comments about people that they've noticed. For instance, one is 2 brands that make Italian bright wash sausages are now adding high fructose corn syrup. Please start watching the stuff at the store. I'm not going to read all those. Maybe I will. You can go to the comments and read them for yourself. But there's a ton of information out there, and there's a ton of people that are starting to have real issues with the food we're eating. And thankfully, I never, ever, when I was, I asked God, I was like, what? Where's the good in this? Because there's good in everything. I'm so thankful she was sick enough where we actually said, okay, we got to do something.
Right,
I got to go. I got to figure this out.
Right.
Because if it was just a little bit,
we'd have just kept going.
And she'd have had a crappy life. But luckily, it was bad enough where it was like, holy crap, she's going to die. We got to figure it out right now. And now we can relay that message to you. And she's good.
Yes.
She is 100%.
Yep.
So everybody that thinks you got an autoimmune something or another, and you're done, that's not true. Change your diet, get your life back.
Or figure out what triggers it for you. Just don't just take my word for it. Keep a notebook. That doctor just gave me the most valuable information when he said that. Write it down. You'll know what you're doing. That's as simple as that. And then you'll know what's triggering it. That is simple as that.
So guys, like the video and share it if you know somebody that's sick. And I think that's it. Do you want to?
Nope, that was it.
You want to tell them to have an awesome, awesome day?
I'll leave that up to you. That's you, babe.
Have an awesome, awesome day. Later.